If you took a look around the railway instead of solar, this story might tell you about scrap metal and engines from the smelter's yard. The smelter's yard is not a safe place to live. It was here to melt down and to scrap into pieces. Old engines lined up in the sidings as the cutter's torch hitting them down. Workmen were scrapping them, and because they were too old and the managers saved up his money for anything but old steam engines. But there was one thing that engines in the scrap wasn't here for scrap. It was here to help out, but it was a tender engine. We used to work a long time ago. This engine was a Caledonian, like Donald and Douglas. Well, not the same, but this one was different. It was painted, and its size tank was black and yellow stripes, painted in both letters and numbers, 56 and the LWR on its tender. This engine's name was Reginald, who's the shunter and mixed traffic tender engine. He used to shunt pile of scrap train into a sidings and sent into a large shed. But even so, he even gets to take the scrap goods days and night, and he loves his job so much. But from the mainland diesel, they didn't really like this. They thought he'd make them look stupid. They were jealous. They wrapped the call and needs to be rude to him. He always carried on with his work until one day the manager came up and spoke to Reginald.
There's a load of scrap metal in pieces that need taking to barrow and furnace. The other engines are busy, so I think you should do it.
The yard manager said.
Why, yes, of course. I would like to.
Then the job is yours, Reginald. The two diesel shunters will handle the work here while you're away.
With that, the manager turned and walked away. Reginald wasn't sure if the other engines might handle the work. Just then, two diesels came up rolling. I looked at Reginald.
Well. Who we have here, Max?
The diesel smug.
If it isn't that steam kettle engine.
I hope you two don't cause trouble around this place. Besides, you won't be last one here.
Reginald grunted.
Are you threatening us, Caledonian? Don't you dare call me that.
Interrupted Reginald.
I have a name and a proper engine, unlike you two.
Don't talk to us like that. We're the revolution and the future to the railway. So show us some respect, unless the yard manager will sell you off for sure.
Reginald hissed as he puffed away to his docks, leaving the two diesels at their thoughts. He soon arrived at the docks and coupled up to the train. The signal rose was red because some of the night trains was going on. As he waited in the sidings, ready to go, he thought of something about the two diesels, and that said to him this afternoon.
Brandon, what does the two diesels mean that the yard manager is gonna sell me off?
He questioned his driver.
I don't know, oh boy. They're just probably kidding around. I'm sure they didn't mean it though. Jerking around, you say, huh, Brendan? Your fire's so warm, I don't want to leave it. Anyways, what time is it, Brendan? It says we're supposed to arrive by an hour ago, but the night train is still running.
That's just great. If we don't get going, the two diesels can take my favorite place in the sheds.
We'll have to wait in the sidings until the track is cleared.
His driver said as Reginald waited in the sidings ready to leave. But it wasn't long before the signal had turned green.
Finally, I've been waiting for at least 5 minutes.
His relief was short-lived as he puffed away into the railway. He arrived at Barrow and Furnace. The yard wasn't exactly like the ones in the other railway. It was all rusty, gray and dingy, Some of the old engines were scrapped in the sidings on the ground. They were all rusted empty. Smoke box and some pieces of the old engine anywhere. Then Reginald saw a building nearby. There was a smelter, and it wasn't a big shed where the big mainline diesels slept. Reginald wasn't sure that if Will had to do, but more importantly, excuses. He didn't hear that there was no sound of diesels, no shunting trucks, or even a single engine. He soon uncoupled his train and left the yard. Left his railway. Reginald was still thinking about the barrel and furnace. When he came back to his smelter shed, he was wondering why the shed was so small and no diesel engines. As he shunted up a scrap train into the siding, and the two diesels were playing around instead of doing their work. They've been biffing and bashing in the trucks by one.
Alright, Max, here comes your 4 trucks. Keep playing like that. You're gonna get yourself into serious danger, you two.
He said. The diesels didn't. They continued to play more when suddenly Adam biffed the truck so hard that Max had bumped into the buffers. The buffers were bashed and broken. There was a long silence until the yard manager walked up.
What in the devil is going on here?
He shouted.
Adam and Max, you were supposed to shunt the trucks into sidings and load them up with some scrap metal. But no, this shed was a complete mess. I sent you two here to work, not for playing around. I might as well scrap you myself. Now you two get back to work unless you're planning to smart things up.
The yard manager turned slowly around on his heels and walked away. It wasn't long before Reginald found his voice.
See, I told you not to play around, but you wouldn't listen.
Shut up, old Caledonian.
Screamed Max.
You never told us or even tell us that. This is all your fault, Reggie.
Reginald said nothing as he hopped away to the shed to rest, while the two diesels stumbled away across it to do some shunting. Weeks had passed, and there was no heard from Reginald and the two diesel engines. Until then, Adam and Max are shunting a piles of trucks with scrap pieces. They had stopped playing for a while, continuing their work. Reginald was at the docks bringing more scrap trains and scrap engines. He enjoyed traveling around the places, or something he had never seen. It was a good thing he had never heard those two diesels anymore.
Ah, finally. I don't hear on these two idiots. Speaking of the two of them, I wonder what they are up to now. Hopefully they're not gonna play any foolish.
But Reginald was wrong. That night, Reginald arrived back home carrying the train of tow inside the smelters. Inside, chains, cling, and shadows began dancing through the walls. As they uncoupled of the train, the points had changed into a siding. He was about to leave inside the smelters when suddenly he heard a bump from behind him and began rolling towards the end of the hot boiling. His driver applied the brakes just as his first pair of wheels left the rails.
Help! Someone help me!
No one heard him. Just as the driver and fireman could get out of the cab for help quickly, as fast as they could. Then Reginald looked down into the hot boiling against the below of them. Then Reginald looked down into the hot boiling against the below. Then he began to hear a groan pain under his cab. He was about to tip over when a horn brought to his attention. Up, he saw two diesels. It was Adam and Max, who'd been behind all this time. Reginald was surprised.
What? You two had been behind all of this? What's the reason for it?
He questioned them.
Well, Since you're no longer to work at the Smelters Yard, we decided that the manager is gonna scrap you for good.
And when your tender goes off, you'll fall over to the hot boiling from the below.
Diesels laughed as they slung away. They coupled up to the trucks attached to the tender and left Reginald by himself alone. He didn't know what else to do, or what could he do. He began to fall, tipping over by his own.
No, don't leave me here. You two just help me. Anyone, help me.
He screamed. Suddenly, Reginald shrieked as he plunged into the beam below, as a few workers found out as he was going inside. Soon, the driver and fireman quickly found what happened inside. But it was too late. Reginald was completely gone. The two Diesels laughed. It was a devilish laugh. When the yard manager walked up to them,
What the same devil is going on there?
he cursed at the two Diesels.
I was in my office and I left home from work until I started to hear screaming cut through the area. Does that have something to do with you two?
Adam and Max wasn't sure what happened, but then again, they make up a lie and told what happened. Once they finished, the manager believed them.
Well, I can't say. You two go back to your shed. I gotta deal with this situation going on,
He said as the two slunk away, not wanting to get into trouble for it. Then the yard manager looked down at the hot boiler below him and gave a heavy sigh.
I'm so sorry, Reginald, but I can't waste my money to repair you. I have to save up my allowance for something. I'm so sorry. You may rest in peace.
With that, he turned and walked away. That evening, Adam and Max had finished shunting the trucks into the siding. They returned to the shed. They said goodnight to the drivers. They've been thinking about the Caledonian engine that might have been killed or scrapped, but they didn't care. Soon they closed it off and drifted to sleep. Suddenly, there was a hiss sound around the area. The noise woke Max up.
Hello? Is someone there?
There was no reply.
Who's there? If you're playing on us, that is not funny.
Max, will you go back to sleep? We got work in the morning.
Snore, Adam. Then he heard a puffing sound again, and this time Max wasn't kidding. He was scared. He looked around, but no one now. He was very scared. Then suddenly, Max felt something in his cab. His regulator was turned on, and before long, Max began moving on his own, with no driver.
Help! Someone help me, I'm moving!
Max screamed, and the sound woke Adam.
Max, will you cut that scream? It make me
He stopped. He saw Max rolling out of the shed, with no one in his cab.
Max, where are you going? Why is your driver in your cab?
Max said nothing and screamed for help, but no one would help him. Then suddenly, Adam saw something in the tracks in front of him. There was a shadowy, ghostly Caledonian. It was painted purple, and the side tanks were yellow and black stripes. It was rusty and didn't have no tender on it. Then the engine began puffing towards Adam.
Stay back. I'm warning you. Please, wake up. Wake up. Please wake up. Please wake up. I must dreaming.
Adam wasn't dreaming. There in front of the ghostly Caledonian, he didn't know what else to do. He had no driver. Trying to save Max, then the engine finally spoke.
So you two could help me when I was in danger?
No.
There was a long silence in the yard, and the fog had lifted. The workmen could only find the mangled dead bodies with no killers. one was in the shed, and its eyes popped from the socket. The other one tragically killed from the accident last night. No one knows what happened to those two diesels, Adam and Max. One night the drivers left for their home, and then next, one of the drivers found their diesel dead, and the other one missing. The yard manager can't waste his money on two diesels to repair them. Decided to scrap them instead. The two diesels were loaded up onto flatbeds, waiting for the workmen to get started. For a long time, there was nothing from anyone or an engine for all the diesels, and steam engines could hear a whistle echoing around the smelters. And the other night, they heard screaming, and then an accident with no engine around.